on 12 News, they're the latest nicotine fix, e-cigarettes. How they're also new territory for local cities. Plus,
where's Rosie?
She was with you.
A new movie starring local actors raises awareness to a cause close to the filmmaker's heart. But first, a multi-vehicle crash in Golden Valley ends up fatal. 12 News starts right now. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a fiery accident in Golden Valley that claimed the life of a truck driver.
It happened just after 10:30 on Friday morning on Highway 55 at Boone Avenue. Highway 55 was closed for hours in both directions as the State Patrol conducted its investigation.
It was just blazing. I mean, there was, and it took a while. It seemed like it took a while for the firefighters to even get it out. It was like, they were still even putting water on it now, even after a good half hour. So I don't know, it was just blazing out of control.
Police say the truck driver was carrying a load of dirt at highway speed when a minivan turned illegally in front of him. Witnesses tell us the truck swerved but couldn't avoid a crash. The truck hit the van, then knocked down a light post before erupting into flames. A nearby construction crew heard what happened and tried to help.
I heard the collision, and by the time I got across the street with fire extinguishers with the rest of our crew, while we were running towards the semi, it exploded and went into flames. And then there was a few people screaming to the guy in the cab, just asking if he could get his seatbelt off.
The name of the 64-year-old truck driver who was killed has not been released. The van driver is reported in serious but stable condition.
In other news, it is a new business trend that's just starting to take off in the metro area.
Now, cities and business owners are in uncharted territory when it comes to the licensing of e-cigarette stores. The first store is now open in Brooklyn Park, and reporter Shannon Slatton has more.
I'm not really smoking as much as I used to.
Candy Kerhonen was ready for change.
Cheaper change.
She's trying out e-cigarettes.
When prices of cigarettes went up, I was just like, this is crazy. I'm not spending $80.
Because the price is right.
These were like $5.99 and these are $7.99. I mean, that's a far cry from $80.
Rebecca McMahon owns the new Twin Cities Vapors with her husband.
One of these is $5.99.
She says price is just one of the positives of e-cigarettes.
Everything about it is just a much better lifestyle for us than smoking, and we just really believed in it and felt like we wanted to share that with other people. And I really want to convert as many smokers as I can to a cleaner, better way to get that nicotine. We have all of them for sample.
The new store looks like a coffee bar, complete with 30 flavors, including cherry cola and cheesecake.
It's a nice way to really sample and find the one that's right for you, because everybody's taste is very different. And then you can play with kind of the milligrams.
In an e-cigarette, the flavor and water are heated by a battery. When you exhale, you see water vapor. Some contain nicotine, some don't.
There's a lot to learn about the different styles, the different batteries, the strengths, and it's nice to have it in person and really have somebody show you how to use it, how to properly care for it, and get the best vape and the best taste for you.
The owners of Twin Cities Vapors actually threw the city a curveball when they wanted to open up a shop, because there's currently not an ordinance that governs e-cigarettes.
I don't know whether it's a fad or what, but it's here, and so we're addressing it.
Brooklyn Park's business and rental license manager Kurt Raymond says an amendment requiring a license for e-cigarettes will be read before the city council in a few weeks. But for the businesses who have already applied,
at the time, it was the opinion of the city attorney and ours that you found a niche, you don't need a license.
Owner Rebecca McMahon posted her city letter saying that on the wall next to her license from the state.
We've had a really good mix of people.
As she introduces a product that's new to just about everyone.
Can't imagine smoking black currant, but that's not saying I won't try it later.
In Brooklyn Park, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
Another business called E-Cig Market plans to open next week on West Broadway in the space beside the Old Jack's Bakery. Customers do have to be 18 years old to purchase any type of e-cigarette.
An addition is underway in Brooklyn Park that will help train a new generation of workers. North Hennepin's new Bioscience Center comes at a time when there's job growth in the field. It's full steam ahead on a new building at North Hennepin Community College that will prepare a growing number of students for health science careers.
We are actually physically cramped in our spaces, right? We can't add any more until we have this new building.
It's a work in progress, but when it's complete, the new 65,000 square foot Bioscience and Health Careers Center will be a key training ground for industry showing job growth. When construction is finished 1 year from now, this new center will include state-of-the-art classrooms and labs designed to educate and train the next generation of bioscientists, nurses, and medical lab technicians.
They certainly want people who are trained to be critical thinkers. They want people who are trained in science and STEM.
Between now and 2020, the demand for medical and clinical lab technicians is expected to rise by 20%. The need for nurses will jump 22%. North Hennepin's new center will expand the college's research capacity and opportunities for students to earn 4-year degrees through partnerships with other schools.
North Hennepin Community College is the only 2-year college in Minnesota providing this type of programming.
As local leaders gathered to mark progress at the site,
having this facility here is going to be a tremendous asset in our community.
Brooklyn Park City Manager says the new addition should help attract more biotech companies to the area.
Brooklyn Park has a very high concentration of biotech and bioscience industry located here. For those folks, it's very important that they have an educated workforce.
A growing number of students for a growing career field, and now a local addition designed to complement both.
If you build it, they will come.
Funding for the $26 million facility was approved by the state legislature last year.
Well, they were supposed to help pay for the new Viking Stadium, but as it turns out, electronic pull tabs didn't even come close. A new report by Minnesota Public Radio shows revenue from EPulltabs is nearly 100% off from projections. Many bar owners say the games weren't worth the cost of installing the equipment. As it turns out, many customers prefer the paper pull tabs. A one-time cigarette tax and a new tax on out-of-state corporations are now expected to pay the state share of the stadium. A local film is trying to raise awareness about pancreatic cancer.
The film is called Rosie and features several actors from the Northwest Metro. Reporter Sonia Goins has more on the dramatic short film.
Rosie, scene 1, shot 4, take 2. And action.
There was a lot of action on the first day of production.
The whole community's been involved. I live here in Rogers, and it's being shot in Rogers.
The movie centers around an attorney who's overworked and is trying to juggle his career and family. Tamatha Lene from Brooklyn Park has a starring role.
Where's Rosie?
Well, she was with you.
Rosie? Rosie!
And 7-year-old Ava Justin from Maple Grove plays the part of Rosie.
It's really exciting because I love to put on, I like it when they put on makeup.
The film is based on an actual legal case in Minnesota.
I wrote the script with my father back in January.
Alexander Constam wrote the script with his father, former Minnesota Assistant Attorney General Ken Constam.
The story is so near and dear to his heart. It's based around a case that he did when he first started out the Minnesota Attorney General staff in the tort division. And he told me this story while he was battling pancreatic cancer.
Unfortunately, Ken Constam will never get to see the film. He died in April of pancreatic cancer.
I always loved my father. I was always proud of him.
Alexander is dedicating the film in his father's honor.
And so it was really important for me because it's my father's story and I really want to share that.
The film is teaming up with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network to raise money and awareness.
They have such a great message towards pancreatic cancer. They really want to fight it, they want to understand it, they want to research it.
Alexander says he hopes the film reminds people not to take their loved ones for granted.
Family is important, and to cherish the time you have together.
In Rogers, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
The filmmakers are hoping to wrap up production in January. They're also trying to raise $7,000 to fund the movie. 10% of donations do go toward the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, and we have more information on our website. That's 12.tv. Coming up, a nationally known comedian brings his unique show to Brooklyn Park.
His story is not only unique, but so are his fans. And then later in sports, 2 of the state's best prep football powers hit the field as Totino-Grace takes on Eden Prairie.
But first, it's a look at your AccuWeather forecast. These kids have good reason to be tired after today. They ran to their heart's content as part of the Woodland Elementary Fun Run. It raises money for the Woodland PTO, which funds technology and events at the school. If the students raise $20,000, Assistant Principal Tony Beckler says she will spend the night on the roof. And Woodland has about 1,000 students, so each student needed to raise $20.
I have to sleep on the roof. I promised them last year and they didn't make it. So we went ahead and carried it over to this year. And so if they raise enough money running today, then I will go up before they leave school today and stay until tomorrow morning.
And guess what? The students did meet their goal of $20,000. It'll be a cool night on the roof for Ms. Beckler. Bring an extra blanket, I think.
Right.
A nationally known comic is performing tonight in Brooklyn Park.
It's a unique sort of comedy because his biggest fans are deaf. In today's weekend showcase, Keith Wann talks with us about growing up with deaf parents and how that influenced his comedy.
I came up with a brilliant idea. One day my mom was vacuuming the house and I said, well, she can't hear it, so let me go ahead and unplug it. You can see how long it takes her to notice.
Mindset that led Keith to comedy. Today he held a sign language workshop for students at North Hennepin Community College. Even though that he can speak, he says sign language was his first language as a youngster. Keith started as a regular stand-up comedian speaking to audiences, but often his humor centers around growing up as the child of deaf adults, and not everybody understood. So the act changed to American Sign Language.
The reaction was, you can't say that. You're a 6-foot-tall, privileged guy. You know, how dare you make fun of a handicapped, minority, poor them, disabled group. You're right. So, and it was interesting because comedy is all about relating. They could not relate to anything. Whereas when I do my comedy show in sign language, which I've been doing for 10 years, I'm doing it for audiences that themselves, they're deaf parents. They're hearing children of deaf parents. They're interpreters, they're ASL students. They know the culture, they know the background, so they can relate immediately.
Keith uses a voice interpreter during his act, so it's a way to connect hearing and non-hearing members of the audience. He is performing tonight. That's Friday at the gymnasium at North Hennepin Community College. Tickets are $5. It's a funny guy,
yes.
Whether you can hear or not, he's funny. Well, coming up, how a place in Crystal reverts back to medieval times.
But first in sports, after a rare loss, Wayzata's football team roars back with a dominant performance. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back.
A lot of eyes on this football contest last night, but I don't think anybody expected it to be so lopsided. Maybe a little closer.
Yeah, maybe a little closer. I think the better team won, and I didn't expect it to be quite this much of a blowout, though. Totino-Grace's football team carried a 15-game winning streak into Thursday night's game against Eden Prairie. The last team to beat Totino-Grace, well, was Eden Prairie in the state Class 5A playoffs in November 2011. Good opening drive of the game for Totino-Grace. Seth Sewald hits Kai Barber out of the backfield for a 17-yard gain down to the Eden Prairie 23. Grace gets 4 first downs on its first drive, but comes away with no points. Eden Prairie drives the ball back downfield, and they do score. Ryan Connolly to Dan Fisher for a 12-yard touchdown pass to put Eden Prairie up 7-0. But on the ensuing kickoff, Totino's Ben Mazinga takes the ball at the 1-yard line, breaks a couple of arm tackles early, and then he is off. Mazinga down the right sideline goes 99 yards for a touchdown. Totino-Grace answers right back, and they tie the game at 7. After another Fisher touchdown put EP ahead 14-7, their defense comes up with a big play. Linebacker Matt Cheeseman picks off a pass and brings it back 33 yards to the house for a touchdown, and it's a 21-7 game. And it's all Eden Prairie from there. Second half of play, Anthony Anderson rushes for 2 touchdowns from 42 and 35 yards out. Top-ranked Eden Prairie wins it over Totino-Grace 42-7. Wayzata's football team is not used to losing, and they don't want to make a habit of it. After falling to Lakeville South, the Trojans took it out on Anoka Thursday night. Highlights from this one: the Trojans score early and often. Tanner Bedard with a hard run, bouncing off tacklers for a 10-yard score and a 7-0 lead. Second quarter, Jake Marsh hits Anthony Clark on the slant. Clark fights his way to the end zone, That makes it 35-0 Wayzata. Marsh throws 3 TD passes in the first half. Then it's Bedard again, firing out of the backfield. Look at the hole to run through for the senior back. He goes 49 yards for the touchdown. The Trojans lead 56-0 at halftime. Anoka gets 4 scores in the second half, and they still aren't close. Wayzata rolls 56-28. Benilde St. Margaret's is now 3-0. The Red Knights beat St. Louis Park 48-13. Senior quarterback Keaton Studsrud threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another. Teams in the Northwest Suburban Conference are all kicking off at 5 o'clock today because of Yom Kippur. Here's a look at the slate of games Friday evening. Maple Grove hosts Elk River at 5 o'clock, a game you can watch on our website at 12.tv. Watch it live. In other games, Champlin Park plays at Park Center. Osseo travels to Blaine, and Armstrong goes on the road to meet Centennial. In 7 o'clock games this evening, Breck hosts Brooklyn Center. Providence is home to take on New Life Academy. Cooper plays its 3rd straight home game as the Hawks host New Ulm, and West Lutheran plays Spectrum at Crown College in St. Bonifacius. Defending Northwest Suburban Conference girls soccer champion Maple Grove bounced back from a 5-0 loss to Centennial with a pair of wins. They look to make it 3 straight when they hosted Champlin Park. Maple Grove attacks early. The pass deflects off the defender to Samantha Landice. Her shot tipped off the crossbar by Rebels keeper Nicole Schultz. Watch the nice setup here as Brianna Johnson takes the pass, spins by a defender, drops it off to Madison Carey, then gets a return pass. Johnson pops it in for a goal for the Crimson. And Coach Ben Levon's team dominates the first half, and they lead 1-0. Champlin Park plays a stronger second half, and they get some chances to tie it up. Kelsey Wood's shot is stopped by Crimson keeper Casey Oddie. Johnson's goal holds up as Maple Grove wins 1-0. And that's a look at sports.
All right, thanks a lot, John. We'll be right back.
Finally, shields, swords, and a whole lot of fun in Crystal.
At Twin Oaks Park turns into medieval times every Thursday evening in Crystal. They are part of a nationwide club called Amped Guard that do live-action role-playing games. While their weapons are foam, the competition can get intense, and it does provide a decent workout.
You're not allowed to run guys over or pound them with your shield to the face or anything. Head's not even a legal target with a weapon, so it's not especially dangerous. It is pretty high physical. There's a lot of running involved, and there's a skill set, right? You have to practice to be able to hit and block.
Early on, I would say it comes down to who's quicker, but later on it comes down to who's smarter.
We're told there's about 100 players in the Twin Cities, and this group is training for a big competition in Southern Illinois. Looks like a little fun, and that does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Pretty good workout, too. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend.